Moss the bat, Karras the snap, Moss the block, Burrow going deep, he's got him! Touchdown! Jamar Chase!
Jones has time, Slayton's down there, and he's got it! Touchdown!
Lamar Jackson, where he's a designed running back. He's doing it on his own.
He'll launch this time. Down the sideline, Brown!
Week 5 of the NFL is in the books, baby. Kenny C back on the mic. Welcome back to the Kenny C Show. Be sure to check out my Packers positives and negatives from their win over the Rams this past week. I posted that a couple days ago. Go show that one some love, please. And guys, please subscribe. It's a simple tap of your screen. Hitting the subscribe button helps me out more than you know. For those that watch this channel, you've heard that time and time again. But you will continue to hear that because we want to make this channel bigger and better. We have some burning questions that need to be answered after week 5 in the NFL. Questions that need to be asked and questions that need to be answered. So let's get into it. Both New York teams are 2-3. Which New York team is the better 2-3 team? You can go by recency bias with this sort of question, but it has to be answered nonetheless, and I need you guys to also answer it in the comment section below. I'm going to go with Big Blue. The New York Giants got it done against a playoff caliber Seattle Seahawks team. First place in their division, and the Giants went into Seattle and took care of business. A 29-20 victory. Let's give it up for that defense. They harassed Geno Smith all game, neutralized the run. They sacked Geno Smith 7 times. The Giants defense has 22 sacks on the season, the most in the National Football League. The Vikings have the second most with 20, but Big Blue's defensive front looks great. Brian Burns is getting pressure on the quarterback, exactly what they paid him to come in here and do, and traded for him nonetheless. But the Giants look good. Danny Dimes, 2 more touchdown passes than he had last week. In a week against the Cowboys where they were a touchdown away from winning that football game because the Cowboys allowed them to stay in that game, they were able to find pay dirt this week. In that game, it was the Greg Joseph game, field goal after field goal after field goal. The man's leg was sore as hell after it, I'm sure. In this one, Daniel Jones was able to get it done with who? Darius Slayton stepped up for the concussed Malik Neighbors, who did not play in this game. Sort of next man up mentality in that Giants wide receiver room. And Darius Slayton did so. He had himself a career day. Man had 122 yards on 8 receptions and a touchdown. They got Tyrone Tracy going in that backfield. 129 yards on 18 carries for the Rook. He stepped up big. And Daniel Jones, 23 for 34, 2 touchdowns, 257 yards, and he did not turn the football over. The Giants look good. They're 2-3. That NFC East is tough. You got the Eagles at 2-2, the Cowboys at 3-2, and obviously the Washington Commanders at 4-1. So steps in the right direction. You look on the other side of things with the New York Jets. The big news yesterday, they fired their head coach, Robert Saleh. I think it was about time for most Jet fans. They all feel that it was about time. Woody Johnson, in his 25 years as the owner of the Jets, this speaks volumes. He never fired a head coach midway into the season or in the middle of the season in general. That kind of says a lot. Saleh leaves the Jets with a 20-36 record since he joined in 2021. What's the old acronym? Not for long. The NFL stands for not for long if you cannot produce wins. And for Robert Saleh, he didn't have the juice on the sideline. It didn't seem like he was that coach to come on, let's go in the locker room at half and let's galvanize this squad. Let's go out there. His second half adjustments or in-game adjustments in general were not good. And let's face it, offensively, he's just not that guy. He's a defensive-minded coach that did great things with the defense. You look at his stats, first in the league in points per drive, first in EPA per play, and third in success rate as for that defense. So as a defensive mind, he's great. He came from San Fran as their D coordinator. That's who he is. He's a guy that's going to build the defense. And, Aaron Rodgers, is he to blame for this firing? We're not going to know for sure, but perhaps, because Raj went out and brought in his guy, Nathaniel Hackett, as the OC, and kicked out Mike LaFleur, who was Salah's guy. Salah also hired the passing coordinator from the Titans, which kind of was a head scratch because Tannehill struggled in his final year in Tennessee, and I don't think that was the best move. But Rodgers came in here and made some noise and brought in his own OC, caused kind of friction. He kind of swept the power out from underneath Salah, or what was left of the power, so to speak. So I'm assuming there was some friction there with Salah and Rodgers. Who knows? Rodgers could have went into the office and said, yo, Woody, we got to get him out of here. 2 weeks straight where we lost games that we were right in and should have won. And the loss to Denver was unacceptable. This past weekend, they lose 23-17 to the Vikings. But, I mean, in that game, the coaching was definitely involved in that, because the Jets have been playing undisciplined football. They were down 17-0. No adjustments were made because they started to come back. But in the end, I mean, you can't get blown out like that in the beginning of the game and then expect to come all the way back and win. Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions in that game. So that's also on Aaron Rodgers, including on the final drive in which Rodgers had 18 comebacks in his career and he couldn't do it there. You brought him in there for moments like that to be that guy, and he wasn't able to do it. But you look at Salah's tenure with the Jets, offensively just not good. I mean, you also got to blame Joe Douglas and the upper management for drafting Zach Wilson in 2021. I mean, Salah had to deal with 6 different quarterbacks in his tenure, the likes of Mike White, Wilson, Flacco, Trevor Siemian, and Tim Boyle. So it's not easy as a head coach in the National Football League. But the point is, you got to be more offensive minded in this day and age, in this league. And that just wasn't Salah. He was able to get the defense right, but not the offense where it really matters. It's not a full blame on Salah. It's more so a blame on each part of the Jets organization, from Woody to Joe Douglas to Salah. It stinks, but now you got Jeff Ulbrich as your interim head coach right now. But the Jets don't look good. I mean, the Vikings put up 23 points on you. Granted, they're probably the hottest team in the league next to the Chiefs. They're 5-0. But the Jets had a point. The Jets had a chance in that game, to come away with it. I mean, 8 penalties. That does come down on coaching. You've got to have your guys more disciplined than that. The Jets do that week in and week out. Players dropping balls. Lazard still dropping balls. This is also a testament to the coaching, whether it's Hackett or Salah. 36 yards between Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. Second straight week where we saw them underutilize their run game and severely sever the head of their offense. I mean, you got to get Breece Hall involved in that offense. They did not do so. The Giants look like the better team right now in New York. Let's see how Ulbrich does. Salah is out. What do you guys think? The next burning question. Could we see a rematch in the Super Bowl, the 1970 Super Bowl, Super Bowl IV, between the Minnesota Vikings and the Kansas City Chiefs? Both teams 5-0. Both teams are the only 2 unbeaten in the National Football League. We just might. Right now, they both look like the runaways in their respective conferences. On the Chiefs side of things, we all know it. Same old song and dance. They just find ways to win with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. First week, Isaiah Likely's toe just out of bounds, would have forced overtime. Chiefs come away with that one. Second week, you have a questionable defensive pass interference call at the end of that game that leads to Harrison Butker winning that one for the Chiefs. Then you have a call that should have been made against the Chiefs with the Falcons. Kyle Pitts was clearly interfered with in the end zone. They don't call that. Falcons go for it on 4th and 2. They try to run it with Bijan. Chiefs stuff it out. Boom. They're 3-0. Then they go and they beat a Chargers team. Fourth quarter, they came back down 10 points throughout the game. And then fourth quarter, Samaje Perine is able to smash it into the end zone for the Chiefs. And they win that one 17-10. And then more recently, on Monday Night Football, they crushed the Saints at home. The Chiefs just look like a powerhouse right now. On the Vikings side of things, give it up for the coaching. Brian Flores, 20 sacks for his defense, second most in the NFL. He's dialing it up as the D coordinator for the Vikings. Just might find himself a head coaching job after this season. And Kevin O'Connell with Sam Darnold. What a season that these two have had together. Sammy Darnold, 1,111 yards, 11 touchdowns, 4 picks, coming off a big win in his revenge game against the Jets, balled out. And this Vikings team is not beating slouches. First week they crushed the Giants 28-6, but then they beat the San Francisco 49ers 23-17. They crushed the Houston Texans 34-7. They beat Green Bay. They 28-pieced them 28-7 in the first quarter. At the end of the first half. They ended up beating them 31-29 and put the fire out that the Packers were trying to ignite in that game. They put their foot on them and stopped them in that one. And then they beat the Jets 23-17 and pick off Aaron Rodgers at the end of the game to end the game. Both of these teams look like well-oiled machines, and both of them look like the best in their respective conferences. So you guys answer me that question. We going to see these two teams in the Super Bowl? Because that would be pretty cool to see the Minnesota Vikings in the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold. Wouldn't be happy because I'm a Packers fan, but that's a pretty incredible story. What do you guys think? And my last burning question for you guys out there, is Jayden Daniels more than the Offensive Rookie of the Year right now? What do I mean by that? Is Jayden Daniels, or could he be, the MVP of the National Football League? The LSU product, rookie quarterback. In my opinion, I said this in August and I got a lot of flack for it. He looks like the most polished passer in the National Football League coming out of the draft. Coming out of the draft, he looks like the most polished passer, the most complete quarterback, and he has shown that thus far. This man, 4 touchdowns to 2 picks, so he's definitely got to elevate that passing touchdown total if he wants to eventually be the MVP, but he's off to a good start with 1,135 passing yards, 77.1 completion percentage. Through the first 4 weeks, he had an 82.1 completion percentage, which was the highest completion percentage for a quarterback through their first 4 games in the NFL. The man is on a tear. He looks great. He's a dual threat, 300 yards rushing with 4 rushing touchdowns to boot. He's really taking command, no pun intended, of this Commanders offense. Dan Quinn at the helm as the head coach. Cliff Kingsbury, the quarterback guru, doing great things behind the scenes with Daniels. And Daniels and McLaurin look like one of the best duos in the league, quarterback to wide receiver. McLaurin had another 100-plus yards and a touchdown in their romping of the Cleveland Browns to improve to 4-1. They beat them 34-13, beat the brakes off them. Daniels in that one was 14 for 25, 238 yards, a touchdown, and an interception with 82 rushing yards on 11 carries. He's a dual threat by every sense of the word. Also, come to collect my recency biased receipts, if you will, because I also said in August that the Commanders would win the NFC East. They're 4-1 right now. They look really good. I think Jayden Daniels has the potential to be the eventual MVP this season, above being the Offensive Rookie of the Year, because I think he will win that award at least by the season's end. What do you guys think? Am I out of my mind, or are you guys seeing the same offensive prowess from Daniels as I'm seeing? What do you think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Be sure to subscribe.